right, and we are live. So, first, welcome everybody to this initial interaction and recording for Black AI Media on our narrative tour, The Road to 100, where we're going to be capturing and listening to 100 stories across the Black and African diaspora in the world of technology and AI. So, for our first It's amazing. Our first episode, we have the amazing, highly talented Eric Brown Jr. Eric, thank you so much for joining and agreeing to do this. And with that, I'll go ahead and open it up. I want you to just introduce yourself a little bit, talk about some of the things that you're doing currently, and then we'll get into some of our questions.
Sure. Well, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this 100, and I appreciate the consideration and the honor of being on this platform. By way of introduction, Eric Brown Jr., I am a technologist, a mentor, and coach based in the DC metro area. And my mission through my company, Elevate Coaching Consulting, and just the work that I do in general is around leveraging innovation for equity, helping individuals and organizations leverage technology for business and societal impact. Specifically, I've been intentional about being able to empower individuals and organizations through AI literacy, allowing them to understand how to demystify various aspects of AI, specifically Gen AI, and how they can leverage it for impact within their business, but also their everyday workflows. And so I believe in learning by doing and really providing a safe space for people to be able to test ideas, but more importantly, being able to realize the value in a way that is relevant to their space and their community.
That's amazing. Thank you for that share. And yeah, I definitely want to dig into more of your background, a little bit more of your experience. But I do have somewhat of a primary question that I think is going to drive these conversations that we're going to have here with narrative. And it's more of I guess we're thinking about an essay or something like that. It's more of our thesis statement that's going to drive.
Mm-hmm.
So that primary question for you, Eric, is related to the world of technology, AI. What does narrative mean to you?
No, that's a great point. Narrative is the story that one tells oneself or that one puts out in the world about oneself. I think that it's important to be intentional about telling the stories that we want to tell. Sometimes, my dad used to say growing up, if you don't choose what you want in the menu, someone's going to choose it for you. And I think when it comes to narrative, it's like if you don't craft the message that you want to share uh, to the world about yourself, your lived experience, or the things that you care about, someone else may make up something that may not necessarily align. And so I think as it relates to narrative, it is important for us to be very intentional about the impact, but also the aspects of our stories that we want to share with the world. And so that's something that uh, I've been intentional about. However, I also realize that media in particular allows more people to tell their story, whether it's through a blog or whether it's through social media. I think there's more ways than ever to be able to share a narrative. And so I think it's important to be intentional about what that is, but also understand its impact on society.
And I would actually really concur with what you said. Your dad shared. I think that it's extremely powerful. It's something I kind of tie into my own life. So hearing that's something that's resonated with you is definitely something that kind of sits well with me. I'm really thinking about that in terms of narrative, and I appreciate that share. And with that, just thinking about again that idea of crafting our own story, I want to just offer a little bit more space for you to take some time to tell us a little bit about your journey in technology and AI, and how did you get started, and kind of what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, this when I think about technology, for me it's a lifestyle, and it takes me way back. I was actually challenged early on in my academic journey, both academically as and socially. had challenges in elementary and middle school to the point where I was taken out of public school and I was homeschooled for a season. And in that time, it was difficult, it was challenging, it was isolating, but I was able to find um, sources of curiosity and joy being able to tinker. I started taking apart remote control cars, started uh, playing different video games, Nintendo, Sega, and just being really interested in technology and how it worked. And that curiosity led me to starting to build computers. And I realized that my knowledge about computers and how they work was something that in other areas of my life were I was deemed a bad influence, but when it came to technology, people looked to me as someone that could support as an advisor at a young age. And so that was kind of my start as far as saying, you know what, this, bits and bytes and software and hardware combination allows me to open up doors that originally were closed for me, and allow people to be able to see me in a different light from the narrative and the brand that I had before leveraging technology. And so when I went back into public school, I really leaned on the ability to be able to help my teachers with the projector and being able to create different programs, and learned a lot about Linux, and I leveraged that skill set to get different jobs selling computers, building computers, and that really led me on a journey. Even though in undergrad I didn't formally study computer science or information technology, I leveraged that skill set. People call me computer love in undergrad, and I leveraged that ability to build, to troubleshoot, and to solve problems in that way to land internships in the industry, and ultimately got to work at Microsoft for about a decade. And so I've been very hands on, but ultimately it's been a lifestyle of saying, you know what, I'm curious how things work. But more importantly, I realized that me being able to solve these problems is able to help individuals in the environments that I'm in.
That's amazing, and I appreciate the idea around tinkering and you know, starting off really young and taking things apart, because I have a son, 4 year old, who actually I kind of see some of that similarly in him, with being really interested and intrigued by how things work, how things function. Again, even thinking about, breaking things down, kind of that engineering type of brain. So I really appreciate you sharing that, and actually seeing where you are right now. It gives me a lot of hope, and it makes me want to really encourage that. So I appreciate it. And related to more so some of your work more recently, like in your business, and even some projects that you've kind of focused on and worked on. Can you share what your motivation has been behind producing and creating, even supporting within the technology and more specifically the AI space? And with that, how did those things come to light whenever you're infusing your work and kind of driving forward some of those projects and new systems ideas that you've been working on?
Yeah, yeah. So, as a leader, a dreamer, an achiever, a scholar, someone that thinks about technology from a strategic lens, I have primarily spent the majority of my career helping leaders understand the art of the possible on the edge of the forefront, being able to help early adopters and innovators. However, I realized in that space, although it's great to be able to be on the edge and push things forward, when you think about the technology adoption curve, you have those innovators, early adopters, but then you have the majority and the laggers. And it's like, well, majority of individuals in the organization are not the innovators. And so one of the things I noticed over time is saying, you know what, how are we ensuring that we're translating these innovative ideas, this value, these narratives, so that the majority understand? And how are we being intentional about being inclusive and collaborative, and making sure that the individuals that are going to be leveraging these tools, that are going to be using it and it's going to be impacting their lives, are a part of the process of getting that feedback of saying, you know what, we see this vision here, but how are you taking others on the journey with you? And so, as a coach, as a technologist, my mission really is about asking those thoughtful questions around, all right, if this is the answer, what is the question? And are we really falling in love with the problem? And are we ensuring that the stakeholders across the spectrum are invested and feel like they are a part of the process? And that's something that doesn't always naturally happen. And so whether it's within a Fortune 100 company, whether it's with a small, medium-sized business, or a startup or nonprofit, I leverage the same kind of framework of understanding what problem are we solving and how can technology be a catalyst for that change we want to see, but also realizing that, people and process are just as important. And I think it's important to really invest in that human intelligence and be able to ensure that individuals are able to fully embrace and understand, what the value of the change is. Because when people don't understand the value, they resist.
Awesome. Yes, and with that, I want to go a little bit further with that and really think about it's a two-part question actually as a follow-up. It sounds like for you, you're more so at the forefront of empowering organizations, entities, individuals as they're looking to create some type of lasting impact within the space. Would that be okay to assume?
Yes, yes.
And with that, I mean, maybe you don't have to get as specific as talking directly, but dropping names or anything like that. But could you share some insights about a particular project or situation that you actually found a lot of passion in, and talk a little bit about what I guess, what your influence was and what the outcome was within that when you're servicing and supporting others?
Yeah, so I think one of the areas that I focused on over the past maybe 5 years plus is emerging technologies. One in particular being augmented and virtual reality, mixed reality technology. And I found that being able to change the way you see the world, being able to see things from different perspectives, being able to have annotated information or additional data overlaid on type of buildings or on top of products can be very valuable. And I found that the enterprise found a lot of valuable insights leveraging these tools. However, when it came to smaller organizations or foundations, they didn't necessarily have the resources or the know-how, but they realized that there was potential there. And so I work with several foundations and agencies to be able to say, how are we able to take emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, but more importantly, augmented and virtual reality, and say, how are we able to tell stories around communities, going back to narrative, leveraging these devices. But more importantly, how are we taking 360 cameras, be able to go through the town, be able to have the people tell the stories, tell the narrative, but have other people experience it. And so I was influential in being able to be an advisor and thought leader, helping organizations do that within the BIPAC community in particular, but also allowing students to be able to explore different career opportunities through immersion. So, whether it's being able to do a mock surgery, or be able to go on a space station, or be able to visit another location and speak a different language, leveraging VR. I leverage my expertise in the virtual mixed reality space to be able to empower museums and organizations to say, hey, how are we able to help students get exposure to something that typically wouldn't through these mediums? And so that was kind of a first phase. Now, kind of the hot topic is AI in particular. And so chatbots are something that I work a lot with. I was a part of a hackathon at Afrotech where I built a chatbot to be able to help students be able to explore what are the interests that they may have in STEM, but more importantly, how are you able to get matched with local nonprofits or organizations where you can get mentorship and guidance through the journey? Because
Thank you.
Wait, don't go anywhere. If you're loving this conversation, we've got so much more waiting for you at blackaimedia.com. That's right, you can catch the full interview with even more insights, stories, and perspectives from our guest. At Black AI Media, we're all about celebrating the innovators, disruptors, and visionaries from the Black global community who are shaping the future of tech and AI. We're talking game-changing ideas, powerful voices, and exclusive content you won't find anywhere else. So, if you're ready to keep the inspiration flowing and dive deeper, head over to blackaimedia.com right now. Don't miss out on the full experience. We'll see you there.